Let me just say this much. Markets go up and markets come down. It's coming down. And then we're going into depression, and then we go into revolution. Well, Marx had one thing. He said it was the abolition of private property. In other words, we could own nothing. And as a capitalist, that kind of upsets me a bit. So they wanted to take all of our private property away, and it would then go to the state. And that's why when you study communism and Marxism, it's a centralized economy. It's central. It's called, in military terms, it's called command and control. I went to military school. So it's a command and control economy where the government tells you everything. And so that's why the Federal Reserve Bank is part of a communist thing. It's a central bank. And the central bank is not American. It's not a bank. And there's no reserves in it. And it's the Fed today is the third central bank. And for history, since Jefferson and those guys, they kept saying we cannot have central banks. But because our academic system is basically Marxist, most school teachers are Marxists, they just don't know it because they didn't study Marx like I did. So
you're saying our school system teaches communism?
Yes. And most people don't know that because they don't tell you that. Just like they didn't tell you that my family was locked up in concentration camps. They hide all that. I've been called a racist so many times. I go, well, how would you know if I'm a racist or not? Only reason I buy Bitcoin is I don't trust my government. I don't trust the Federal Reserve Bank. I don't trust the Treasury. I don't trust basement Biden, and I don't trust the stock market. Now, if you trust all four of them, have a good life. I have gold, silver, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a bet against the government. I'll say this one more time. If you study Marx, a central bank is essential to communism. That's the Fed. It's the third central bank we've had. It came into existence in 1913. In 1913, the Fed was created. So was the tax department in 1913. Oh, coincidence. The average guy has no idea that happened. The other thing about Bitcoin is my basis is $7,000.
Meaning you were buying Bitcoin at $7,000.
Yeah. So always remember, your profit is made when you buy, not when you sell. Buy low, sell high. But I never sell. I borrow out. You see, if I'm trying to think tax law, English common law, and Amsterdam was corporate law. So what happens is, let me give the same example. I buy Bitcoin or a property at $1 million, property on the sand. It goes up to 10. I'll borrow out at 5. That fell $5 million. I still have the property. I haven't sold it. I have no taxable event because I didn't sell it. So that $5 million is tax-free because it's debt. You see, debt is the key. And guys, oh, I live debt-free. I mean, you're a stupid monkey. That's what it means. You've just been a puppet on a string taught by school teachers and financial planners and all these guys who know nothing about money. I use debt. Remember, 1913, the Federal Reserve Bank, the third Federal Reserve Bank was created of America. The tax department was created in 1913 also. You get the picture yet. And taxes come out of corporate law of Amsterdam because it was shipping, and English common law is English. So in 1971, just before I went to Vietnam, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. But they don't teach you that. You see, our system is communist. And I hate to say that because I'm a Marine. I went to Vietnam twice. I fought for this country, went to military school. Like I said, my family were locked in internment camps. And today they're talking about reparations for the blacks. I mean, give me a break. My family didn't get reparations. They took all their land, they took their houses, they took everything from them. But what history doesn't tell you is that Hitler rose to power on reparations. Why don't they teach us that stuff? So that's why I learned at military school. So today I hear all the blacks talking, man, racism is terrible. You've experienced it, I've experienced it, And racism is, it's a sin of the soul, spiritual. It's spiritual to judge a man or a woman by their skin. That's horrible. But anyway, if you study Marx, Lenin, Hitler, and Mao, you'll see it all over the school system. That's what today's postmodernist education. And postmodernist education actually started in 1930. When out of the Frankfurt School in Germany, they moved over to Columbia University. And Columbia University is the headquarters for Marxism. But they don't tell you that. And so the Teachers College at Columbia University is where the Frankfurt School set up in 1930, which is Marxist. Obama's a hardcore Marxist. I'm not a racist by calling him that, but he is. Look at Obamacare. Was Stalin who said medicine is the archstone of socialism, socialized medicine.
Wow.
And education fits into that same category. That's why, going back to what you and I are taught.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in school with all these rich white kids in Hawaii, right? Just because of the way the lines fell and, the school districts and all this.
Yeah.
My classmates are all these white guys who are rich. And I'm this Asian guy who's poor. And my old man, poor dad, PhD, poor, helpless, desperate, is saying, you've got to get a high-paying job, as a school teacher. I said, Dad, you're still not rich.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you think that our stock market is a bubble?
It's criminal. The only reason they gave the CEOs all that money is so they could repurchase their stock. So let's say I'm IBM or Ford. You give me $1 million, right? So I borrow $5 million from the Ford's treasury. I buy $6 million of my stock. It jacks the stock price up. So mommy and daddy with their 401k, the Ford Motor Company went up in price. It's all floating on debt.
And you think this is on its way down?
Let me just say this much. Markets go up and markets come down. It's coming down. And then we're going into depression, and then we go into revolution.
What does a depression look like?
Depression is when more jobs are lost and they're going to have to print more money. Just as they did to prevent when Fauci, fascist Fauci shut down the U.S. economy, the whole world economy is shut down. How can they pay people not to work? America is now the largest debtor nation in history. Student loan debt is out of sight. Consumer loan debt is out of sight. Stock market is all based upon debt.
We have more national debt than GDP.
I don't know the exact numbers, but I think we're pushing the debt to GDP ratio. Okay, with a debt to GDP, it's really simple. When a debt to GDP hits 90%, so we have 90% debt to GDP. That's pretty optimal. That means every dollar you borrow, when it's 90%, the economy grows by 10%. It's a 10 to 1, a 10% ratio. Today, the debt to GDP ratio is 140%. They cannot add any more money. It's not going to grow. That's what it means. So it's like a guy who has a house that's he kept refinancing his house and he loses his job. He can't borrow anymore. So that's what happens when the debt to GDP went past 90 to 1, 90% debt to GDP. Today it's 140%. We're bankrupt.
How long?
But the average guy has no clue what I just said to you.
How much time do we have left?
We're already finished. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, bullets.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.